What's up, YouTube? This is the Serial Thriller Broadcast, and today I'm going to be talking about The Town That Dreaded Sundown. This movie is directed by Alfonso Gomez-Reyon and stars Addison Timlin. Now, this movie is based on a movie that came out in 1976, but the movie that came out in 1976 actually exists within this movie, and the 1976 movie was based on real murders, which also supposedly have time. They're kind of in the context that they were portrayed in the 76 movie that they used in the 1976 movie. It's confusing. So this movie is the story of the main character, Jamie, who is captured by the new Phantom, who is mimicking the work of the old Phantom, who was mimicked in the movie. It sounds a lot more confusing when I say it like that. She's captured by a killer at the start of the movie who kills off her boyfriend. And the killer leaves her alive intentionally, and he basically wants people to know that he's back. This is a killer that was active in the 40s, and now he's back, and he wants everyone to know that. So obviously people are a little bit frightened by this, and they seem to think that because of this, the killer is some sort of immortal spirit or phantom, when in reality he's a flesh and blood killer. When I saw the preview for this movie, I was actually pretty intrigued, and it looked like something that I'd like to check out. So a few months later, I finally found it. It was on the PlayStation Store, and I bought it and watched it. And here's what I thought. So first of all, when the movie started, I was filled with tons of questions. For one thing, it comes up with Orion Pictures at the start, which I know was the production company that did Silence of the Lambs. And I was under the impression they were bankrupt, so I was wondering, is this production company still around? So I looked it up, and sure enough, they were brought back just for this movie, which was kind of strange. The second question that I had for myself was were these murders actually real? And the answer was yes, these murders did take place in Texarkana in the 40s. However, they were very, very loosely sort of retold in the original Town That Dreaded Sundown, which came out in 1976. And the third question I asked myself was, okay, are they trying to do this meta thing where the movie is aware of the older movie? And yeah, they are, which none of that I got from the preview. So I was filled with tons of questions, and it was actually pretty intriguing. It kind of reminded me of Wes Craven's new Nightmare, the Nightmare on Elm Street movie, where Freddy Krueger actually enters the real world. So again, needless to say, I was intrigued, and I decided to keep watching, and the movie actually opens up pretty strong. Like, you get this story of this girl who's sort of terrorized by what's happened to her, and the whole town kind of doesn't know what to think of her. And you get these scenes where the killer is sort of terrorizing the town. And he is formidable and scary, and those scenes were done really well. And then there's sort of not a lot to keep you interested throughout the rest of the movie. It's mostly the girl kind of working her way through this convoluted plot with some friends she picks up along the way, and it got really confusing and kind of boring. And really where this movie shone was with the killer, because he was pretty cool and pretty scary. And the scenes were really well choreographed, I thought, with the killer in them. So there was a couple things about this movie that I was really more curious about than anything, in the way that they chose to film them. And the first thing was they had a Dutch angle in a few scenes, which is essentially when you take your camera and you put it like this. And I learned recently that that's supposed to convey sort of tension for the characters, or tension in the scene. But they decided to use those Dutch angles at really random times, like not during the killings or anything like that, but just during these random shots, almost to kind of make it look stylish for the sake of being stylish. And the second was, the second thing that kind of bothered me was that this movie had a really weird glow to it in certain scenes, which kind of reminded me of The Great Gatsby. And in The Great Gatsby, they went for it. Like, the whole movie looked like that. But this movie, they kind of pick and choose when they want the scenes to have this sort of glowy atmosphere around them. And it was kind of distracting because there was other scenes that were filmed in a very standard way. So some of the creative choices were just a little bit distracting for me. All in all, though, the performances in this movie are pretty good. For the first part of the film and sort of the third act, you get a fair amount of action that kind of keeps you in. It's just the middle part kind of drags on a little bit. And I probably end up watching it again, but at the same time, I can't really recommend buying it. I definitely regret buying it. This has been the Serial Thriller Broadcast, and if you feel thrilled, chilled, and fulfilled, hit the subscribe button and let me know what you thought in the comments below.